So we're out here in Florida at the DSP Author Workshop, and I'm with Paul Richmond and Aaron Anderson, and of course, say hi, Will. He has to say hi over there.
Hi, Will.
We wanted to get together with these guys and talk about the new Cheesecake Boys adult coloring book that Paul's put together. So we all have a little thing that we're going to color kind of while we're doing this. So if you're on the video feed, you get to see all the coloring that's going to go on. And one of the things that will happen is Paul's going to do a coloring, and then he's actually going to sign it. And we'll give it away via our Rafflecopter within the show notes for this episode. So, Paul, tell us, how did this come up?
So I've been doing the Cheesecake Boy drawings for about 8 or 9 years. And it was originally inspired by, the old pinup girls from the 40s and 50s who were always losing their clothes somehow or other. Their skirt got caught on a nail or the wind.
Magically falls down while you're in the grocery store.
Right. It was so hard for these ladies to get through the day. And meanwhile, the beefcakes or the male pinups of the time were very different. They were always kind of more in control. So I just thought it would be funny to do a gender swap. And so I started painting these pinup boys kind of in similar wardrobe malfunction poses. And, people got a big kick out of it, and so I've done paintings of them for a long time, and now there's this craze of adult coloring books, and I thought, well, what would be more adult than my Cheesecake Boys?
Boys losing their underwear.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much how it was born.
Did you take pictures that you'd already had done paintings of, or are these original to the coloring book?
No, these are all original to the coloring book. I had done some of the drawings and posted them online for people to download for free to color. I've been doing that for a few months just to kind of test the waters and see if anybody was really interested in it. And I still actually do that for anybody who's interested. You can visit cheesecakeboy.com, and every Friday I post a new one.
Oh,
so
fun.
A free pinup boy for people to download and print, color. Friday freebies. You can also, a lot of people load them into coloring apps, so if they don't want to get their hands dirty with the good old Crayolas, they can load it into Recolor is one of the apps that people use, and color it digitally. But it kind of got a big following. People all around the world started to color them, and it was really cool for me to see that. Everybody's different interpretations of the drawings, what kinds of color schemes they would choose and stuff. I loved it. So there definitely seemed like there was an interest in it, and talked with Elizabeth about it. And we'd been wanting to do some type of coloring book for a while. We decided this would be the one. So,
well, it makes perfect sense.
In some weird twisted logic, of logic, this makes perfect sense.
But you've done the Cheesecake Boys products before. Did you have? Was it cards?
I have done some cards. Yeah. We did, and I do a lot of, well, not a lot, I guess, but I have done some Cheesecake Boy book covers for Dreamspinner Press. All of their Advent, the Christmas holiday anthologies are kind of pinup boy themes. So they've had many different incarnations, but this is their first time as a coloring book.
And you're right, there's so many coloring books out now. Do you?
Yes.
This is your career and your, what you do for a living. Do you color separately?
No, I don't.
Because you color enough.
Yeah, I do enough coloring. No, my husband. I really actually kind of got the idea because my husband Dennis has a bunch of the adult coloring books, and it's very relaxing for him. But it's all of mandalas and stuff that he has. So I thought
something a little bit more refined,
a little more sophisticated. There are no mandalas in here. So yeah, I thought it would be fun to give him something a little bit more humorous to color. I don't color myself. Do you?
I mean, only yours apparently.
Yeah.
Which is fun because there's not much thought you have to put into it necessarily, and you get to stare at a cute boy's butt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we should show them which ones we're doing. I'm doing for people who are watching, I guess. I'm doing the little boy on the rocket. You guys remember how all the pinup girls were always blasting off on rockets or bombers or whatever.
And this unfortunate fellow is losing his underwear coming out of the pool.
I mean, who hasn't experienced that?
Who hasn't lost their pants at the grocery store?
It's not a Sunday if you're not losing it with your bok choy falling on the ground.
No, it's celery, because all the pinup girls always had grocery bags full of phallic-shaped things, including celery, eggplants,
Yes.
bananas.
That's funny.
And they were always spilling out of the bag. That was a whole. That was
so
a whole
ridiculous.
thing. Yep.
Now, Will does color.
Oh, okay. What do you like to color? That's why his looks so good, huh? He's gonna. You should maybe raffle off his.
Right?
There are. I'm not sure if I. Well, I don't know.
Go
We've
ahead.
talked about it on the podcast. Well, we've had the naughty coloring book.
Yeah.
on the podcast
Yes, the
before.
adult sex coloring book.
Nice. Yes,
That's
yes.
a really, really good one.
And
Pause for me real fast. Sex? Like, actually, like, it's a full-on...
Yeah, it's like erotic.
Whoa. I haven't seen that before.
The erotic coloring book, that was awesome. There are these like kid packs of like velvet coloring pages.
Ooh, velvet. Now that I might get into.
They're kind of ridiculous, and they're like, ponies and rainbows and all that sort
like
of
what I'm
awesome.
wearing right now.
He just did a unicorn this past week.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So yeah, I'm into those. I like this a lot.
That's fun.
It's awesome.
Do you use crayons or do you use something more sophisticated?
It depends on the velvety ones. Pens usually work best.
Okay.
If I want something to be more realistic, like the sex positions coloring book.
Because you do want that to be realistic.
You have to get the right shadows.
You have to get the flesh tones right. So you can use crayons or pencils or something. But
Exactly, because people could use that as a very instructional piece of art.
So curious, what do you do with them afterwards?
I put them on the refrigerator, of course.
That's where every good colored picture goes.
That's where they
awesome.
go.
That's what the
where they
cover
go.
of this book is. Did you
Yep.
see that? The guy, the pinup boy's putting all of his pictures on the fridge.
There was a time for a little bit there when nobody was visiting the house. And the adult sex coloring
The
were
naughty
actually on
ones
the
were up
fridge.
there, too.
Well, you just needed to make some new friends that could appreciate
This is very true.
Now,
Awesome.
Paul, you're also an associate art director for Dreamspinner.
Yes, I am.
Tell us what that entails.
So I work with all of our awesome artists and help coordinate, the production of all the covers for Dreamspinner, Harmony, DSPP. So we reach out to authors to find out what they would like on the cover, what they think would work well, and then we try to pair them with the right artist. And we have a whole group of people that are involved with this. It's not just me. Janet in our art department is awesome. She handles a lot of the communications at first, but it's really just about kind of finding out what the author wants and thinks will be good for the book, and then also creating something that will sell or will represent the book well in the market. And sometimes that's easy, sometimes they align, and then sometimes it doesn't. So every cover is different. But we publish a lot of books, so and I do some covers myself too, and I do all the ads for Dreamspinner and all the imprints, all the like video ads and graphic design, promotional things. So a little bit of everything. I've been with Dreamspinner for probably 4 or 5 years now, working in that role, and I was a freelance cover artist with them before that. And I came to one of these conferences, the very first one actually. Elizabeth invited me to it in New York, and I loved the people. I just thought the energy of the company was so awesome, and everybody who was involved. And I knew that I wanted to get out of my evil day job and work
The EDJ.
with people like this. So Elizabeth was amazing and still is, and she made it all happen. So I'm thrilled to be doing this.
I mean, because what other day job can you do this right here?
I know. I mean, like
your guys' job.
for a solid few weeks. I mean, it was literally just me and pinup boys.
Awesome. Now, Paul, I don't know if you know this, but Jeff's first story with an original cover was done by you.
Which one?
Bicycle Built for Two.
Oh my gosh! Yes, I remember that cover.
Cute boys kissing next to a bike at a very fall.
Yeah.
You followed what I wanted to a T, practically.
Good. Well, I'm glad you didn't hate it because that would make this a lot more awkward.
That would be awkward.
Oh,
It hangs on my office wall, actually.
that's fantastic. That's what's so fun about working for Dreamspinner, because you really do get to connect with the authors and hopefully bring their vision to life.
And your team does a great job. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had a span lately of stuff coming out, and I've been just every time a cover comes in, it's like, wow, look at that.
Good.
That's awesome.
That's what we want. It's very important to us that authors love their cover, because it's kind of the primary marketing tool for the book. You know, I mean, no matter how wonderful the book is, a lot of people aren't going to find it unless it has a really striking cover. You know, it's just like anything. The packaging is a big part of it,
and it won't sell well if you're not 100% behind it. You know, like if you don't love it, then you're not going to sell it as well, and you're not going to push it. You know.
Yeah. Aaron's another awesome cover artist who we roped in, and he sent him all the crazy ones.
I love it. It's a lot of fun.
What goes in from like the time that an author, and for the people on the podcast who don't know, at least with Dreamspinner, the authors get this, I think it's the 2 pages these days, bit of a questionnaire to fill out about the book. Who are the characters? What do they look like? What's this book about? What genre is it in? And some other stuff.
Yes.
Including, you know, sample blurbs. And then you guys have to go do your work, presumably without reading the book or maybe skimming it, possibly.
Yeah.
What happens after that form comes in? What's the process that goes on back there?
Well, and I should say, too, that it's a very different process than what happens at most publishing companies. I mean, if you've ever worked with other publishers, especially like larger, more mainstream publishers, authors really have no say in their cover at all. You pretty much, you know, they will say this is what will help sell your book, and you're kind of stuck with it. But from the beginning, you know, it's always been really important to the people at Dreamspinner, like we were saying, that authors love their covers. So we try to get your input at the beginning, and you're involved throughout the process. We get your spec sheet where you give us all the information that you can. We send samples of covers to see which ones kind of speak the most to you, so that we can get a feel visually what might be a good direction to go in, or who might be the best artist to pair you with. But then we send the spec sheet to the artist. They start, you know, working up some concepts. If it's a photo cover, they might mock up a bunch of different things with different models from stock sites. If it's a drawn cover, you know, it might just be, you know, a one sketch. It just kind of depends on the artist and what they're doing. But we always send, you know, kind of rough drafts to the author so that you can let us know if we're on the right track, if there's something you think we should change. Give us as much feedback as possible, so that, because we do want it to represent the book as great as possible. And we take the feedback, we go back, we make changes if we need to, and then we finish it up. That's about it, right? Is it always that easy?
How much? Go ahead.
I would say every cover is different. It depends on the vision sometimes of the author. Sometimes the author leaves like 100% up to the designer slash artist, and they can either run with it, and sometimes it speaks for itself, and you can just make something right off the bat that's beautiful, and it speaks exactly what they need. Sometimes you need a little bit more work to get to that point of what it needs to be.
Yeah, and we were just talking about this earlier, how I think sometimes what we found, a lot of authors are so close to their book that it's hard to be objective and step back and say, like, this is my vision for what I would love to see on the cover, but this is what might actually, you know, really represent it the best in the market. Sometimes those are two different things, and it's hard to boil down an entire novel into one picture. You know, I think that it takes sometimes, you know, us going back and forth a little bit to finally get to the best option. But that's all a part of it, and we love working with our authors to, you know, make the best covers possible.
I think you spoke to this a little bit earlier, is that a good cover is both marketing and, you know, appealing art.
Exactly.
And you also said that, you know, every book is, of course, different.
Right.
Is there something, like one or two things that you consider like the hallmark of a good cover, either marketing-wise or artistically?
I would say that simplicity, number one, is best.
Okay.
It has to be able to grab your attention right away without you having any knowledge of what the book is about, who the characters are, anything like that. And it has to hold up at the size of a postage stamp, because that's how most people are going to see it at first.
Yeah.
So, you know, we can put in all of those little extra details about, like, you know, he has to have this scar here on his face and this tattoo here and that kind of stuff, because we do want it to be accurate, like I said. But what really matters is it going to grab someone's attention if they're scrolling through super fast on Amazon and they see this image? Is it going to compel them to want to read the blurb to find out more of what the book's about? Because if it doesn't do that, then it's not doing its job. So I'd say that's the most important thing.
How much education do you find that you have to give to authors on the art of the book cover?
Well, yeah, it depends very much. I mean, you know, we are really lucky. the authors that we work with are very open to the process, and nice, and we both come from different kinds of corporate situations where we've experienced a lot of other things, so we'll just put it that way. But we, in general, it's awesome working with our authors. But every personality is different. Some people have stronger ideas about what they want, and sometimes those ideas are great, and sometimes they need a little bit of refining. So it really just depends. But
at the end of the day, I would say mostly it's 100% respectful.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never been in a situation where it wasn't.
Yeah, it's always like a
even if we clashed, like had different ideas, everybody has always been very respectful.
Now that leads perfectly into one of our questions from one of our patrons, Ellen, because she's actually curious if you've got any, like, funny stories of when you or your staff and authors have kind of collided a little bit over cover art.
I think the funniest would be the details that sometimes get left out of the specs. So, like, for example, and we won't say who, in case you're watching, I love you. Just know that. But one of my early covers had a spec that was incredibly detailed about every little aspect of the character. His eye color is the shade of blue that's like the moonlight rippling on the water at night. Across a brambling brook. It was like that specific and that dramatic. But so I drew what I thought they wanted, and I sent it, and the feedback came back to me, and they said, "Well, that all looks good, except you forgot to, he's supposed to be missing his left leg." And that was nowhere in this entire spec. I mean, I had that shade of blue just right, but he had two fucking legs, so
that's what Photoshop's for.
Right, yeah. Exactly. So I would say that's my funniest. Sometimes, the details that we might get hung up on aren't necessarily the most important ones.
That's very true. Honestly, I found that sometimes when it's left to a little bit more interpretation for the artist to kind of go town on it, is usually when the best results happen.
Yeah, that is true. Which is hard, I think, sometimes as an author, because you want to have a lot of control in it. But sometimes you do get... One of the things I encourage the artist to do is to do a mock-up of exactly what the author has asked for, but then also do something that is totally their own random crazy idea that they think might be better, and then that way the author can see both. Yep. And sometimes they will go with the crazy one, because it's just not everybody is visually inclined, so not every author would necessarily come up with that great idea, so it's good to try to be open to other suggestions and stuff.
This is all part of it. Like, there's so much pressure on them to make the cover exactly what they need it to be.
Right. I mean, they want to sell their books, and we want to sell their books, so we're all in the same boat.
I found that the collaboration really works well. Like,
yes,
I have a States of Love book coming out in May, and I sent my cover spec over. Kind of said what I thought it should be, and I got 3 back.
Yes,
that were each like, that could all be the cover. But this dude right here, that is so the right guy for this role. Can he end up on this cover?
Yeah,
because the look of the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island was perfect to me in that shot.
Yeah,
and sure enough, the artist would just mixed and matched those pieces, and then suddenly there's the cover.
That's exactly why we do it that way, because when it's at that early stage, we can absolutely pick and choose pieces. We kind of Frankenstein boys together sometimes, because if you saw the limited options that are out there on the stock photo sites for photo covers, it's insane. And everybody wants like the guy with bulging muscles and the long flowing hair, and whatever crazy tattoos he might have. Like, that's not. There are maybe like 3 or 4 guys on a stock photo site with long hair, and they all look like they live in their mom's basement. Yeah. So we usually end up... you were just saying you took like a woman's hair and photoshopped it onto the sexy dude.
Yeah, seriously.
You do what you got to do.
Yeah, sometimes you just really have to pull some stuff from different places you wouldn't expect.
Yeah. I mean, not to set unrealistic expectations, because that's not always possible. The lighting has to match, and the angle of the camera has to be the same in both shots in order for that to work. So it's not like some, we don't have the ability to just pick and choose everything, put it together. But we can certainly try.
But what you're saying is that the artist probably took from your spec a bunch of different ideas, And while they might have ended up on different covers, it moved into one.
Yeah.
But that was just like kind of like what you were envisioning, and like they tried a couple of different options based off of the information you gave.
Yeah, it's a real process, and when it works like that, it's pretty awesome. I mean, I think it's a real collaboration. That's how we see it for sure.
Which do you prefer to work on, original artwork for a cover or photo manipulation?
So when I started out, my background was in traditional art. You know, I studied illustration in college, so that was all I did at first. And I was literally like making oil paintings for every cover. You know, it was kind of insane. My first year or so that I was doing this, every cover was an actual oil painting, and which was a lot of fun and great. But you know, it took a lot of time, and then you had to let it dry before you could scan it and stuff. So over time, I sort of taught myself how to work digitally, and I eased into it. So I would start it out as an oil painting, but maybe just paint it in black and white and then scan it and color it in Photoshop and then add the type. So it was kind of like a gradual progression to now where even the illustrated covers I do everything in Photoshop. Just because of the, you know, we have so many books that we're producing, and people need to see the covers sooner so that they can start promoting the book sooner and all that kind of stuff. But in general, I would say that what we're finding in the market right now is that photo-based covers tend to sell better. So as much as I love illustration, and that's my background, and obviously, you know, I'm always going to be doing this kind of work myself, I tend to encourage authors to go towards photo covers if it works with their concept, just because readers in this genre seem to prefer that now, which was not always the case. You know, at first we did a lot of illustrated covers, but one of the theories is that a lot of people are doing self-published books and doing covers all kinds of different ways, and I think there may be just a general sense that a photo cover feels more professional for some reason.
Interesting.
Which I don't think is true, but just, you know, as people are scrolling through sites, they're more inclined to click on photo covers. So we're kind of going in that direction as much as possible. The only place where that's not true is if it's like fantasy or sci-fi or something like that, where you're not going to find a stock photo, and nobody has that expectation anyway that it's going to be a photo. So we still do a lot of illustrated covers for those. But if it's contemporary, even if it's not contemporary, but if it's a concept that can work as a photo, then I always try to encourage authors to go that direction, because that's what's going to sell better right now. Unfortunately, that has to be a factor. We could make the most beautiful cover in the world, but if nobody's going to buy it, we're not doing our job.
Right.
So.
Do you find we see books all the time?
Yeah.
And you always have seen books over time that are recovered periodically.
Yes. We do that too.
You've recovered.
Yeah, we have some of the early books that were illustrated. We have recovered with photo covers, and it's a nice spike in sales for that author. So it's very interesting.
Aaron, I know Paul. I know you have a fine art background. Aaron, what's your background?
So technically, very much so the same. We both went to CCAD.
Okay.
Columbus College of Art and Design.
Yeah, sorry. But of course, I focused on advertising and graphic design. So my focus is graphic design. So a lot of my covers end up feeling very graphic. So they have that very graphic, bold feel.
Yeah. He started. What was it? You started doing Dreamspinner covers, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe?
Like 4?
Maybe.
I feel like maybe almost 5.
But it was at a time when there were a lot of covers being made that were just like 2 Photoshop dudes over top of a landscape.
Exactly.
And we were like, we need to stay ahead of this, because this is not, every cover that comes out is going to look like this. How can we help our authors to have covers that stand out? And one of the things we decided was we wanted to bring in some artists who have a real different aesthetic. And authors still get to choose. We showed them some of Aaron's covers, some of them love them, and some of them don't. So we try to pick authors who are open to that. But it can be a really great option.
About trends, I call those books Two Guys in a Landscape.
Yeah, 2 guys in a landscape.
I like them because some of them are really gorgeous, but there are also some that are total crap.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
So from a creative standpoint, when you think a book is most suited for something like Two Guys in a Landscape, how would you approach that? instead of like, oh God, not another one.
Well, I think the key to the two guys in a landscape concept is that the guys need to look like they belong together.
Well, yes,
because if
exactly.
the lighting should be the same on them, the texture, everything. Because if not, then it just is very obvious that we've just cut out two different dudes from stock sites, and they would never want to even probably be in the same room together. But and there's always ways you can kind of make a concept feel unique, like maybe using a different font, or the way the colors, or whatever. I mean, you've even done some like dudes over a landscape cover.
Oh, for sure.
Sometimes it works.
Sometimes it's what you need to do for the cover.
Right. But I just with no matter what, even if it is a more traditional concept, I think there are still ways you can make it have a unique feel, and that's really the goal with everything. Whether we're doing a cover that's really kind of edgy, modern, conceptual, or if it's a more traditional look, because they are romance stories, so people need to look at it and know that there is a story and that there's a romance involved.
But even beyond the kind of traditional romance of Dreamspinner, you guys also manage the Harmony covers and the DSP covers too, which can branch off into all kinds of different.
So it's very interesting to juggle.
The DSPP ones, the Dreamspinner publishing one, those ones are a lot of fun to do because they usually generally are trying to be a lot of they're pulling away from the romance a little bit more in the look and feel.
They look like more like genre fiction covers.
Yeah, and which are a lot of fun to do, and they look really interesting.
And Harmony too, actually, has a very different aesthetic because that's needs to appeal to a young audience. So we research what books are teenagers buying now. And that changes a lot.
Yeah, probably I would guess more than what adults buy.
Yeah, it is interesting. I kind of, when I came into that, was under the impression that it should look younger, meaning like, I don't know, like I was kind of picturing you could do more with illustration and maybe like a comic kind of look and that type of thing. But actually, teenagers tend to respond better to covers that look more like adult books because they want to be taken seriously as adults. And I mean, that makes total sense now that I think about it. When I was a teenager, I wanted everybody to see me as an adult. That was kind of like what you're fighting against. So you're not going to pick up a book that looks like, makes you feel too juvenile.
Right.
Or they might feel insulted or something. So it's very interesting.
These two are totally out coloring us. I noticed these shades in their crayon coloring.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
We talked a little bit about stock art.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a limited amount of stock art that's out in the world, and there's one guy I feel like I've seen crop up on a lot of covers lately.
That dude gets around.
This bushy hair.
There are several one guys.
There are.
See an
How do you guys? Do you ever go out and do your own cover shoots, or stock up your own like photo stores so you've got something a little bit different out in the marketplace?
So we do a couple things. First, with the stock sites, we've started a list of do not use men.
We all know that one guy with really dark hair has been used a million times. Yes. You know who he is.
He is used up.
Yep, used up when he's gone, girl.
Yeah, so we have that. But still, it's so hard to avoid with the amount of books that get published every week. You can never totally stay on top of that. So we do have some individual photographers that we also work with, where we purchase photos directly from them, so they've never been on a stock site before.
Nice.
So we have a few different arrangements with those. We have some that we can take the photos and manipulate them. We have others that we can license photos from, but only if we're going to use just the full image exactly as it is without making any changes. So
that sounds like a challenge potentially.
It can be, but sometimes, like if they have the perfect image, especially if people are wanting a simpler cover with maybe just one model or something like that, it can be a great way to go because we can get some really dramatic images that are totally unique. So those are a couple of things that we do. And then I know, like, for my own covers, I mean, we've not really done setup shots necessarily for our photo covers, but I've certainly, like, when I've been doing an illustrated cover, made my friends or husband or whoever,
or yourself.
Sometimes myself, pose for photos if I need some random crazy pose. Half of these Cheesecake Boys originated as me or someone I know.
He's not kidding.
No,
when I first
you're coloring my ass right now.
No. Yep. I mean, it's a little more exaggerated. Let's be real.
Oh, please.
But yeah,
you mean mine's better.
When I first was getting to know him, I'd watch him start these illustration pieces, and it would be a Photoshop version of himself making out with a Photoshop version of himself,
Yeah.
which to me is like the epicenter of his ego.
Yeah, we talked about the two guys over a landscape. This was the Paul on Paul series. And you learn really quickly like what is wrong with your physical appearance because you're using yourself as the model, and then you realize, oh, I need to make my nose smaller, and I need to give myself a better jawline, and blah blah blah. So it got a little too much for my ego. So now I make my friends do it.
Do you have a favorite or favorites of your covers?
The one that jumps out at me right now is one of the earlier ones that I did for, what's the name of the Eric Arvin book, Woke Up in a Strange Place.
Okay, yeah.
It was, I really liked the concept of it, and I knew it meant a lot to him, and a lot of people got prints of it to kind of, remind them of him and stuff. So I think that was a pretty special one for me. I enjoyed that one. That means a lot.
Do you have one of yours, Aaron?
I would say probably a lot of the DSP publishing ones.
Like your Rick Reed?
Yeah. So a lot of Rick Reed's ones that I've done have been really awesome. I'm trying to think of ones.
And you were criticizing my ego.
Yeah, there's a handful of ones that I've done for him for that one that are really good. And then there's Willow Man by John Inman that I really liked. And then there was a series of John Inman's that I did that was serenading Stanley, yes. It's like a series that's revolving around this hotel, and that one turned out really cool actually, because the font was kind of like a neon type one, which is a little hard to do sometimes when you want to do a series, or if you want to translate that, it kind of becomes a problem. But it was a lot of fun.
And that leads to a great question. How much changing do you have to do on the cover when a title goes into the translation market?
Well, we actually build them all so that they can do that pretty easily. So we don't do effects to fonts that will make it so that we can't change the words. In other words,
not supposed to.
Yeah, sometimes he breaks that rule, and I have to say, fix this. But we do all our covers so that they're easily adaptable for that, because that's something that Elizabeth has always kind of, it's been on the back of her mind to take more titles into translations. It's been such a great opportunity for growth in our company to reach out to other countries. So.
Are there market considerations? Like a cover image that would work good in this country,
yes.
Maybe somewhere else just doesn't, you have to redo anyway?
Yeah, sometimes we do it, especially again like with the illustrated covers, we'll switch out to a photo cover sometimes for different areas, or we've made certain changes just depending on where it's going.
Nice.
Do you have a favorite cover?
The one I drew, of course.
Well, I love the one. I love the one that you drew for Bicycle. I mean, that meant a lot because, oh my God, I had a Paul Richmond cover.
You really did. That was a Paul on Paul one.
Now you will not think about it the same way.
Well, it doesn't look like me. I mean, I gave him other people's faces.
It's like what they do in Hollywood now, where they could just make, they could just recreate these like Peter Cushings in Star Wars, and he's been dead for a while.
Exactly.
So, one of the covers. Sadly, it's not either one of yours. I'm sorry.
We won't hold it against.
One of the covers that has struck me of late, after coming out of DSPP, was T.J. Klune's Memoration.
Oh yeah.
That Reese Dante did.
Yes, that was a good one.
The birds with that face and everything. It's a striking cover, and that cover goes with that book.
Mm-hmm.
Just perfectly.
Yes, Reese is awesome at that. She's great at communicating with authors, finding out what's really going to fit.
What about you? What's your favorite cover?
I don't know if I have a favorite cover.
What one that has standing out to you right now?
Well, okay, from a design standpoint, I have always loved the first paperback edition of Jackie Suzanne's Valley of the Dolls.
Oh, nice. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
That super simple, straightforward
that was before
design.
His time. He has no clue what you're saying.
The design in that.
He'll be looking that up online later.
That
Can I Google this right now?
He didn't even know who Bette Midler was, so it's going to be a while.
Oh my
beautiful
God.
font, and I love that.
That is a good
I love
one.
that. So.
I do like what, and I think you were behind this actually, the style of the Dreamspuns.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh. Yeah,
It is extremely modern category romance.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
can look at
listen-
that book and you know it is the MM equivalent of Harlequin.
Good.
They
It was-
all
it-
sit on his shelf. He
Yes,
actually
they
gets
do.
the paperbacks for
Yes,
those.
they do. They are all lined up.
Oh,
I got 'em.
Awesome.
yes, I did the initial design for it, but then we have one of our artists, Bree Archer, actually does all of the covers. She works with authors to pick out the models and the backgrounds and stuff. So, but yeah, that was an interesting challenge though to figure out a design that would work for every story.
Mhm.
We tried a lot. I remember we did a ton of variations before we landed on that. But-
Because then you lock yourself in. Like you're
Right.
always going to have something in this circle, or now it's more
Yeah.
the I guess the swash across the middle. But
Yes.
everything's got to fit right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's been good though. I think it helps people to kind of like focus in on a concept because
Mhm.
it's hard sometimes. We say, look, it's got to fit in this spot, so we get.
What's the best way to keep up with you online besides obviously looking at work on the Dreamspinner site?
That's a good way. Well, you can go to my website, paulrichmondstudio.com, or social media, which is all linked from my website. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I do a new YouTube video every week. It's Paul Richmond Studio on YouTube.
Oh, fun!
I show a lot of behind the scenes, in my studio kinds of things. You can I post some videos showing me creating covers, so you can see how that process works. But then also just like random crazy silly things, like I'm sure we're going to be doing a bunch this weekend too.
Yes.
I always rope him into these things,
Which is a lot of fun.
So that would probably be. Those are some ways.
Cool. And Aaron?
I don't really have like an artist website, but you can find my covers from Dreamspinner. And my Instagram, you can find me at Aaron by Design 55 on Instagram. Yeah.
Cool. Connect people to that. And Cheesecake Boys available now at the
It is.
Dreamspinner website.
Huh?
So if you're on the video now, you could see how things have worked out. Mine sucks.
Oh, don't say that. It's beautiful.
Sucks. What do you mean?
No, it's not.
Look at his underwear. They're so cute.
You get an A for effort.
Thank you. I get the
Look,
participation
he focused
medal.
on the eggplant. Look how hard that he pressed on that.
Because
You can see that eggplant on the
I
other
found the
side.
right color for it. After
Gosh.
screwing up the skin tone completely.
Oh, goodness.
So
Well, there you go.
we'll have Paul's available. Do you want to autograph yours and give away to the
I
audience
think
too?
you should.
Sure.
You can finish it
I
up.
want to finish it though,
'Cause, yeah, he didn't finish his.
and I won't feel bad if nobody wants this. It's okay.
Not at all. Well, thank you both
Yes,
Thank
you
you, guys.
for
This was
being
a lot
with
of
us.
fun.
This was great.
Always happy to have a coloring party whenever you want.